Hey guys, it is your boy Jonesy, back again with another peak video that will rot your brain out. And I haven't made one of these videos in quite a while. I made one about chapter 4, I made one about chapter 3. Now we're getting to the big 5. So first of all, chapter 5, if you don't know or you're new to Fortnite, started after the big shit, I mean the Big Bang. Jonesy comes back after the filler chapter, which was chapter 4, and then he recreates the end event, but a little bit different. And then the 0 point implodes or something, I don't know, and then splits into a million pieces apparently. Cue Eminem and the Metaverse announcements. OMG, it's Lego inside of Fortnite! This totally didn't cause stuff to be cut from the Big Bang event, totally. Yo, this mode looks so sick. We are all grinding to Unreal and Rocket Racing. This mode will stay alive forever and do way better than Battle Royale. I won't joke about you. You have your own fans. You're just not my favorite in my opinion. Oh, hello Miku. You didn't happen after the Big Bang event, but you still happened in chapter 5. You're a happy little accident. Fuck you, Slurp Brush. Fuck you. Anyways, I just wanted to mention all the little metaverse modes Epic did. Some of them are pretty fun, not gonna lie. Some of them are rocket racing. But anyways, moving on. Let's get into the chapter 5. Oh, and subscribe to the channel or Kim Jong-un will be in your bed tonight. And I wouldn't risk it, bro. I wouldn't risk it, bro. Trust. And dumbass intro aside, and yeah, I'm gonna get canceled for it. They'll find a way, don't worry. Anyways, chapter 5. So season 1 started out pretty solid. We had a bunch of mythics and this new awesome feature that we still don't have in creative for some reason, medallions. These medallions, season 1 were pretty mid, not gonna lie. They only gave Siphon, but they were still cool to get. Like, once you had a full stack of them, you had shield forever. And a fucking Peter Griffin medallion. You can't get better than that. Well, actually, you can get better than that, because Peter Griffin was a freaking boss inside of Fortnite.
Holy crap, I'm in Fortnite! Oh my gosh, this is so freaking epic!
I'll spare you guys there because that joke has been done to death. Also, Peter Griffin would do a funny animation when you eliminated him. The other bosses weren't very notable, but the storyline was definitely notable. We got back a cohesive storyline after the filler chapter. Now, I do have a theory to why this is, but we'll save that for later. But to sum up the story, it was rich versus poor, and there was this group called the Underground that Jones and this sexy lady right here formed. Yeah, I'm getting cooked. This is not helping the allegation. Continuing on, you also had the Society, which also had this sexy lady right here. Anyways, yeah, these two groups do not like each other, and you can probably tell which one's the poor one, which one's the rich one. It's pretty obvious, but the season's vibe was like chapter 2 season 2, but way better. You also had vaults, which you unlocked by using the medallions. As to why we don't have this feature anymore, I don't know why. Epic, add it back. Here's my loot pool rankings. I fucking despise snipers, so they're always gonna be put in the real bad. And each chapter 5 season, we'd get one interesting mobility item, sort of like the same thing we got in chapter 4. We got like this weird like hook thing. I don't know what you would call this, but it propels you forward, and it's like a worse version of the Spider-Man mythic or ODM gear, but you can also attack with it, which was nice. The weapons and ARs, the most notable thing was definitely the Frenzy Auto shotgun. That gun made me actually like the drum gun, because previously, before chapter 5, I didn't like the drum gun, but when I started using the Frenzy Auto, it was fucking awesome, man. Like, being able to spam enemies with that was so funny. And then you also had the Riot Shield or whatever. Competitive did not like that.
I'm using the Riot Shield. What else do you want me to fucking do?
Oh, Riot Shield. I'm a pussy and I use Riot Shield.
Oh yeah, and then at the end of the season, there was this thing called Pandora's Box that got open. And this was Fortnite's reintroduction into mini events. I rather than make full events instead of mini events, not gonna lie. Still grateful that it happened. I rather have that than whatever the hell this was. And then Heaven and Hell came to Fortnite. Myths and Mortals wasn't my favorite season. Some of the skins were kinda okay. They were pretty cool. I liked some of the designs. But in general, I don't really mess with this season as much. This was due in part to some of the POIs. Now, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I loved Chapter 5's POIs. A lot of them were pretty good. Some of them in Season 1 were kind of mid. I don't like Ritzy Riviera. This one feels kind of bland. I love Lavish Layer. I love when Epic experiments with their POIs. This POI was fucking amazing from start to finish. Even when they removed the medallion, I just loved landing here. Love Snooty. This is exactly what a Fortnite POI should be. Colorful and fun, not bland and boring. Literally perfect POI. Now I would go over the other POIs, but I don't want to waste your guys' time and I want to move on to Myths and Mortals. Like I said, Myths and Mortals was okay. The POIs were kinda eh. Mount Olympus was just there. It was cool. It looks cool in this image, but when you actually landed there, it was kind of boring. Brawler's Battleground is okay. Now, these two POIs were good during Season 2, kinda, because the bosses were there. But after Season 2, they just kind of sat there and they were just hella boring. Underworld POIs were okay. The Gateway POI was kind of good and kind of boring. Same goes with the Underworld POI. They both suffered the same fate as Mount Olympus after the season. The only good thing these POIs had after the season was like the little Underworld soul effect. It was basically like the 0-point dash, and they made Hades look chopped. There were so many other designs they could have chose from, but they put this fuck-ass mask on him. He's chopped like me in real life. Continuing on, let's talk about the loot pool. The medallions got a major upgrade, now giving you special effects. The Cerberus one would give you like a dash effect. Hades would give you Siphon. Ares would increase your range on weapons. And then Zeus would give you like a jump effect. Major upgrade from the other season's medallions. Loot pool is pretty interesting. I didn't include the other loot from the other season, just simply to make this more clear. There was a bunch of interesting weapons. We had Zeus's Thunderbolt, which was a peak weapon, by the way. It would destroy builds and all you had to do was run away from it. But, you know, competitive complained about it and it got nerfed, bringing down the season. But the other weapons didn't really get nerfed. There was Hades Chains, which was pretty nice. You could pull players towards you. There was the new Zeus's Banana, which would give you the Zeus medallion effects. And you had some other interesting shotguns like Cerberus shotgun, which is stupid and it sucked. And then you had these wings, which I'm pretty sure, to my knowledge, also got nerfed later in the season, but they were pretty fun. You could fly around, which is awesome. I really wish Epic made more weapons for this season, but the season would be interrupted twice by collabs. It would end up removing the stuff like the Zeus's Thunderbolt because of these collabs. Oh, and one very funny thing would happen. The funny man himself, or Midas for short, would return this season. This would be orchestrated by Cypher PK after he begged Epic for him to return. I'm joking. Cypher didn't do shit. But Midas would finally return, and he was revived through the underworld or something, I don't know. But this would bring back Midas's drum gun, and you could modify it to have a scope with weapon mods, making this gun a beast at killing people. And oh fuck, I forgot to mention weapon mods. We'll save that for the end of the video. And the other thing Midas would bring to the game is he would bring back LTMs, specifically Flora's Lava. Midas Presents Flora's Lava is goated, and we need more LTMs, like on a weekly basis. Come on, Epic. It wouldn't be too hard to bring back some LTMs, like the coin collecting one or high explosives, you know? But anyways, yeah, that's all Midas really did. And then he went away on his yacht. Anyways, then we would have the Avatar update, which took away all the Myths and Mortals weapons and replaced them with the Avatar mythics. Then I proceeded to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's a good show. The writers cooked on it. Watch it. They would put shrines all around the Fortnite map related to Avatar: The Last Airbender where you could get one of the 4 mythics. You had water, earth, fire, and of course fucking air. All these new abilities you could attack with, except air. Air was used for mobility. It would create like this little vortex around you and you would basically like wheel yourself around the island. It was pretty fun. Fire had like a slam attack and you could also shoot with it. Water bending, people didn't like because it was essentially like an AR. You could shoot far range with it. Earth was kind of eh. You could throw a brick at someone, but also like create a wall around yourself. All in all, the update was pretty solid, except for this one little tiny change Epic made. It can't be Epic Games without them fucking up somehow. They were like, you know what? Let's remove rarities from the locker. And this is a stupid change because your locker went from this to this. And it's like one of those changes that Epic did not need to make at all. Like, no one asked for this, and everyone started complaining, and what did Epic do? They said, fuck you. People like to blame the metaverse for this, but I don't agree, because the metaverse, while it has its quirks, it isn't the reason for this dumb change. Corporate greed is the issue here. They did this so they could price things however they want. They did say in the tweet that it doesn't affect how they price things, but we all know that's bullshit, because if you go into the item shop right now, there's shit that shouldn't even be priced at the price that it's at. It didn't help that in the same update, the avatar skins were hella expensive. They would have been like epic rarity, but Epic wanted to overcharge or something. I don't know. And, you know, rarities might not be a big deal, but it, like, strips away Fortnite's identity. People, you know, I said earlier that people are saying the metaverse is the issue. That's not the issue. It's just dumb decision-making on Epic's part. And you're seeing dumb shit like this happen today. Epic cares more about the collabs and its own storyline. That's probably why we don't get voice lines anymore. Chapter 6 so far has had 0 voice lines from the main cast. Hell, Jones is on the map. Just get Troy Baker back. And you also got Hope on the map still. And there's no voice lines. Like, come on, Epic. Oh wait, they blew all their money on the Las Vegas Sphere to advertise Kai Cenat. Now, you know, that might not be true, but I wouldn't doubt it. The point is, Epic Games has gone corporate, and we don't get the same shit we used to get. Rant aside, back to Chapter 5. I don't know if you noticed, but I don't have any more Chapter 5 footage. So enjoy some LEGO Fortnite. I mean, it did come out during Chapter 5, so I guess it counts. Anyways, the Avatar update would end, but not long after, we would get another collab. This time with Star Wars again. And if you saw my Chapter 4 video, you would know I did enjoy the Star Wars update for Chapter 4. I think it's one of the best updates Chapter 4 had, as bad as that map was. But unfortunately, I can't say the same thing for Chapter 5's. It brought back some old stuff like lightsabers and stuff we got the previous year, and all they added was the Wookiee bowcaster. This was all the new content for BR. I say BR because a bunch of other modes got content. LEGO got a LEGO Pass and Star Wars items in the mode, which is pretty cool, not gonna lie. That's a solid update for LEGO. They still need to add Mace Windu's lightsaber inside of LEGO and other lightsaber colors, and the rest of it was just cosmetics galore. And to be honest, the whole update was just, oh look, Star Wars is a part of the metaverse too. I'm still happy with the update though. I mean, it's really surprising all the LEGO Star Wars stuff stayed. You can still go around and get lightsabers and stuff inside of LEGO Fortnite Odyssey. All in all, W update. And then we get to Chapter 5's second mini event, where the Zeus's statue for some reason comes to life, and then the orb from Pandora's box bounces around and creates a poop storm in the background. Oh, and just to recap on the story before we move on to Season 3, not much happens. It's revealed Hope has powers and the gods are bad apparently. She takes down Zeus. I don't know how the hell she did that, and it will be later revealed that her powers are her being able to predict the future through her art. There's also a character called the Oracle introduced or whatever. I mean, the most relevant thing that happened that season was that, and also Midas returning. And now we go into the most overhated season, Wrecked. To be honest, at launch, it wasn't that bad. The only problem were the cars. I hate any turret like crap because, in my opinion, turrets and Fortnite just don't work together well. This has been a historic thing that's happened. Even when the first ever turret was added into Fortnite, people did not like it. I would have rather them add this turret that can actually launch you. You know, that would have been cool on cars. But unfortunately, they picked all the wrong turrets for this. Like, they picked the spam one, and they also took the proximity launcher and put it on the car, which low-key, that was not fun to deal with. And honestly, I think that's the only thing that needed to be nerfed that season. But as you know, competitive are a bunch of crybabies. So the Nitro Fists, which were an amazing item off season launch, these were really fun to use, got nerfed. Not only that, the main like new item got nerfed too. You originally could like break through walls with it and like destroy stuff, but then it got nerfed so that when you even like went through any walls, it wouldn't allow you to like break through them. You'd have to keep spamming it, which sucks. But something that didn't suck was the new biome, bro. Like, this is eye candy. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You had Brutal Beachhead, which was low-key fire. It has some really good, like, Mad Max vibe. Red Line Rig hit too, like, Man, I love this POI so much, bro. Like, these were some of the top 5 POIs on Chapter 5, bro. And then look how they massacred my boy. Fuck you for doing that, Epic. Fuck you, bro. What did you do to this glorious place, bro? Snooty Steps is now Sandy Steps, bro. What the hell? And then you got Nitro Dome, and it's like, you know, Nitro Dome was pretty okay. I think it was a pretty unique POI, and, you know, it was pretty fun going in here with cars and stuff. Unlike Myths and Mortals, all the bosses hit. Ringmaster Scar dropped a mythic boom bolt and also a medallion. Megalodon also had Nitro Fist, and he dropped a combat shotgun, one of my favorite shotguns in the game. Machinist dropped her AR and a medallion, and the medallions this season. One of the best season for medallions, bro. We only had 3, sadly, but bro, they cooked on these. Machinist's medallion was okay, but then Megalodon's medallion, that gave you infinite nitro and infinite stamina, so you could just run around, crash into people's builds. And then Ringmaster Scar's medallion would give you infinite ammo, so you wouldn't even have to worry about ammo anymore. Like, these medallions, bro, like, I still remember them fondly, and they're some of the best medallions you can get inside of Blitz right now, bro. Especially Megalodons, bro. Like, being able to run around the map infinitely is so fun, bro. You could just, like, third-party people. You'd get as many kills as you'd try to speedrun the game. You know, it was fun, bro. For the loot pool, this is what I think about it. Yeah, we got some absolute ass in the game, but you got decent weapons here too. For some reason, the mythic Frenzy Auto Shotgun came back. For some reason, the Oscar NPC was selling it. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or not. Any season with the combat shotgun is a certified banger for me. The Nitro Fists were good, and then they got nerfed, and then they turned kind of bad. Nuka-Cola was a kind of a fun item. I mean, this was a mini collab with Fallout, so it was pretty alright. I mean, nothing too fun here. And then they also had like this weird shotgun thing. I don't know what it's called, but it was pretty boring and forgettable to the point I don't even feel like it deserves its name being looked up. But for the 3 other collab items, they were pretty solid. Like, there was this one Metallica guitar for the Metallica collab, which was pretty cool. It gave you like a little rift effect in the sky, and you'd crash down on opponents. Pretty solid for an Icon Series collab. You know, where was this energy with the other Icon Series skin? I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a fan of Icon skins, but when they get like a mythic item in game and, you know, it actually ties in with the collab, it's pretty peak. And then we had the Pirates of the Caribbean collab, which was pretty peak, not gonna lie. I mean, we had a ship bowl item and a whole like landmark for the Pirates of the Caribbean, which, you know, it felt like Chapter 1 Season 8 all over again with the pirate theme. I think we even had the Flint Knock unvolted. Anyways, back on topic with the items, the pirate ship item was pretty amazing. It was basically like a ship in a bottle, and you would throw it, and it would bring a giant ghost ship, and it would crush all the enemies below you. It was pretty cool. But that was about it for the collab items with the Pirates of the Caribbean. Kind of sad. They could have done a lot more with the collab. Like, they could have made a mythic Jack Sparrow Flint Knock and different pirate weapons. But I guess, you know, it was pretty simple. I mean, we got a mini pass, so I mean, I'm not complaining. It was still awesome content at the time. But there's one more collab item I want to talk about, which was pretty awesome when it came out. The Magneto Gauntlets. When they first released, these shits were amazing, bro. They would shred players, and you could also use the Magneto Gauntlets as a shield. It would also give you low gravity, so these things were busted, man, until they were ultimately nerfed, which, you know, will become a common trend in the next few seasons. So, what was the story like this season? Well, I'm gonna be honest, it was peak, bro. We had Jones talking in the storyline and talk about some shit. The Wastelanders are here to get nitro fuel from the island, and Megalodon is a big threat. And with this big threat coming to the island, trying to get all the nitro fuel from the island, trying to suck the life out of the island, how does he go out? In that short mini event, the rig blows up, and then that's the last we hear about Megalodon, because he doesn't appear after the season, and the rig's gone. But who blew it up? So throughout the season, there's this guy named the Wanderers, like some spooky ghost that would appear around the map. Everyone thought it was Last Reality related, and Epic doesn't want to bring back the good storyline, so it just ended up being Doctor Doom the whole time. Wow, no way. Totally like we didn't have a roadmap leak earlier. Fuck that leak, by the way. I like when this game is a surprise. But yeah, Dr. Doom blew up the rig. I guess he just didn't want Megalodon sucking out the life on the island, which good on Doom. Maybe he isn't a bad guy. But continuing on here, now it's time for Absolute Doom. Now, Absolute Doom, I have mixed feelings about. It started off so fucking strong. We had Doom's Castle, which went pretty hard, bro. I ain't gonna lie. This was like the best castle inside of Fortnite, bro. It's up there, man. It carried all the other POIs. Now, the other POIs were, I mean, at best. I mean, they're pretty bland. Kind of the POI design in Fortnite that I just don't like. But they were there and it was pretty nice. Not as bad as Anvil Ass from Chapter 4. Now, there is another good POI I want to mention real quick. We had the Raft. Now, what's crazy to me is this is the first prison POI we've had in a long time. The last time we had like a prison type POI was back in Chapter 1, and it was a landmark. So the Raft, it was like a big open prison. It was pretty fun. Some areas of the prison were not really fun to fight in, like outside, because you'd get shot from the nearby mountain. But other than that, it was a solid POI. Moving on to the medallions. Now, this season had the most interesting medallions, I'm gonna be honest. They weren't the best. They weren't wrecked levels of good, but they were still kind of solid. Emma Frost's medallion would locate other players nearby you, and it would essentially tell you where other players were. Dr. Doom's medallion is sort of like the Season 1 medallions where it just gives you Siphon for elimination, and one of them was absolute garbage, that being the Mysterio medallion, which all it did is when you would crouch, you would go invisible. Sounds cool, right? Well, it didn't really work well. Fortnite invisibility is like trying to put a blanket over yourself because people can see you anyways. The only way people can't see you is if you're tucked in a corner somewhere. So it's really for the people who like to camp and sit around the whole game, not for like a competitive player. And since this medallion would essentially give your location, this is what all the medallions would do, and it would essentially stop you from shooting, and it would activate every time you'd crouch. Competitive did not like it at all. And it was not because it was too good, it was because it was too terrible. And now competitive players would just drop the medallion instead of picking it up. Even casuals like myself would drop it because it was that bad. There was one more medallion for a short period of time. It was the birthday cake medallion. It was here to celebrate the 7th birthday of Fortnite. And right now, currently as of me recording this video, the 8th birthday is Fortnite's coming out. So, and it's also leaked this medallion's gonna come back, so that's cool. But what did it do? It essentially would give you a balloon every time you jumped. I didn't get to play with this at the time due to real life things going on with my IRL life, which I'm not going to get into. But it's from what I've seen and the gameplay I've seen of it, it looks pretty fun, not gonna lie. But the items this season were pretty alright in the beginning. There was a bunch of them. There was the Iron Man blasters, and there was also the Iron Man flight kit. Essentially what they would do is you would fly around with the Iron Man stuff. It was pretty awesome to play with. And you also had the Unibeam and the blasters, which did the same thing as they did back in Chapter 2, Season 4. The flight kit was new, though, and was pretty awesome. You could fly around like Iron Man. And then you had the War Machine stuff, which was pretty alright. I mean, it was pretty OP at first. You could shoot people with, like, an SMG, and then it also would shoot rockets. There was also the jetpack, which was pretty awesome. You could fly around with it. And then there was also the target, the lock-on target, which would show you the direction of a player, and I think it would shoot at them. And then you also had Doom's Arcane Gauntlets, which did the same thing as they did back in Chapter 2, Season 4. It would shoot like plasma balls at people and throw a big ball at them. Solid items. And then you also had Captain America's shield, which was passed down to yours truly right here, aka me, aka Jonesy. Anyways, it did the same thing as it did back in Chapter 1, Season 9, where it would just block players and you could also throw it at people. But for some reason, they made it epic rarity this time instead of being mythic, which I find really strange. I'd rather it be a mythic because, well, a lot of these items actually should be mythics, but a lot of them weren't for some reason. Anyways, we had the Shuri gauntlets here too. They're basically a better version of the Black Panther mythic because the original mythic was so trash, man. It would just create a shield, but then this one improved it and actually added claws to it, which was pretty fun to use. I think this is definitely one of the highlights of the season. I really like this item. And then you also had other items here, like some of the newer weapons, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of them were kind of mid and forgettable, other than maybe this pistol and maybe the like dualies being here too. I think Gwenpool had her own dualies for some reason, had this weird quest around it. I mean, they were pretty cool, but pretty not notable. A lot of this, I mean, a lot of these items I want to forget about. They unvaulted armored walls for some reason, kind of random, and people just used it to hide in vaults. I forgot to mention this, but there were also these vaults around the map that would give you loot. They were here throughout the chapter. I just forgot to mention them. Almost forgot to mention this, but the Thanos ability came back. But instead of Thanos, it was Dr. Doom. It was amazing, man. You could run around and kill everybody, beam people. You had Dr. Doom's abilities, and it was basically like the Thanos LTM from back in the day. They also brought back the Thanos LTM, but it was just reskinned to be Doom themed, and it was pretty awesome. Sadly, I only got to play as this guy once, so I don't really have any footage of me playing it as him, but I remember it being hella fun. But sadly, in the normal BR game, it wouldn't spawn every game because Epic's like, let's just put it on 25%. They'll definitely be able to play with this. So I didn't get to play with it in BR. RIP. But you might be wondering, Jonesy, if this is a Marvel season, why is Billy from Saw a item in Fortnite? Well, to get to that, I gotta explain the season's lore first because, like I said in the beginning, for everything this season, it starts out strong, but then slowly fades into just bullshit. Now, for the items, they didn't really bring back anything else. Like, we could have gotten the Spider-Man web shooters back, Stormbreaker, all the mythics from Chapter 2, Season 4 could have returned. They were all in the files, but they just didn't. And I think that just kind of sucked because how you just gonna unvault a few like Marvel mythics here and not unvault all of them? They could have done so much more with this season and they didn't. Anyways, finally, the story. So the story this season went hard at first. Doom was a big bad on the island. You know, he's actually scary this time. He didn't just take over Pleasant Park for some reason. And Hope has to defeat him, and they assemble the Avengers, and I guess they fight all the Marvel villains like Emma Frost and Mysterio for some reason. Why would Doom choose Mysterio? He could have chose anybody else, and he's like, yeah, weak Spider-Man villain. Well, we have you here. It's kind of weird, but Doom is a big bad, and then has to defeat him with Jones. Jones gets Captain America stuff for some reason. Steve Rogers is like, hey, Jonesy, buddy, here's your shield. Peely is here fighting Sabretooth Meowscles. I mean, corporate plant. That's the story. Doom dies in the most stupidest live event ever made. Doom gets summoned, blah, blah, blah. Here he comes. Just look at my giant floating head. And then, you know, it looks cool at first, right? Well, let's just say Epic got a little bit lazy and decided to just give us a cinematic instead of showing us this in-game. And yep, Doom gets into some shenanigans, Hope comes in, blah, 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 and then she gets scarred from it for some reason. All of this gets retconned in Chapter 6, so don't worry about it, meaning the scar, and it doesn't appear ever again. And then it goes into a 1-hour boss fight. I don't know who at Epic said, you know what the players would love for a live event? Let's just have a boss fight happen for 1 hour. And no one liked this. And the people who say they like this haven't experienced peak Fortnite live events, I'm gonna be honest. All you need to know is Doom gets defeated. But the funny part is, there was still a month left in the season, which led to Collab Fest Fortnitemares. Now, I don't have a problem with Fortnitemares, this Fortnitemares. It wasn't bad. It's just, it really goes to show you where Epic's priorities are now, and especially with collabs, because there were a ton of collabs. There was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there was Billy from Saw, and there was, of course, some Disney characters, of course. Mind you, we're in a Marvel season, so they started doing everything but Marvel, other than Mephisto showing up and giving the underworld its first period. The thing about Mephisto showing up, right, canonically, does that mean multiple, like, demon gods exist who take care of death? Like, is Mephisto and Hades the only ones who control, like, death in the Fortnite world, or is there more? Because, I mean, there is a multiverse, so do multiple hells and heavens exist in Fortnite? I'm so confused right now. But anyways, now for the moment you've been waiting for, I'm gonna talk about the Halloween items. They brought back the pumpkin launcher. W item since day one. I always loved it. There was the Boom Billies, which were like a trap, I guess, and they would go after players and blow up. You also had this new chainsaw item, which was a W item that would give you mobility. There was some other things like the witch broom being back and W items, W on volts. And then there was this one other thing that wasn't really an item. It was more of like a bounty, but you had to kill the other player first before the saw trap blew up. I thought that was pretty neat. There was also a fair share of map changes. I already mentioned one with the Mephisto. There was pumpkins everywhere and POIs. You know, they looked pretty neat, not gonna lie. And also Reckless Railway just snapped, gone. It's now replaced with Freaky Fields, and I'm gonna be honest, they shouldn't have called it Freaky Fields because, well, let's just say freaky at this point isn't really a word you would describe horror anymore. It means something else, and you know what I mean. And you know, I don't think Epic at this time was really keeping up with the Gen Z lingo, so I'm not complaining. I don't really care. So what happens at the end of the season if the big bad is just defeated already? Well, one of the most disappointing live events ever to be made happens. And yes, I'm talking about pre-shit, aka Prelude. Fuck Prelude. This shit had a live event timer and was complete ass. Let me just give you the scene here. Everyone's so hyped. Everyone already knew we were going back to chapter 2, but we're like, oh man, is Hope and Jones gonna show up in the event? Oh my god. Are we gonna get sucked in and brought back to chapter 2? Oh my god, this is gonna be so good. And then the event happened. Long story short, the event wasn't for us. The event was for New York. Unannounced too, by the way, so no one really knew this was going to happen other than maybe some big streamers. And this was just a glorified party royale event with some animations here and there. And they picked the worst person ever to be in this event. Who's doing a concert? Ice Spice. And Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg isn't bad. But I have a few choice words to say about Ice Spice being in this event. Ice Spice, in my opinion, is one of the worst female rappers, actually singers, of all time. Genuinely, fuck Ice Spice. Fuck Epic for doing this, bro. Like, this whole event, this entire event, was just them yapping and rapping and, you know, Snoop Dogg isn't bad. I ain't gonna lie. Snoop Dogg, hey, you're chill. I mean, I don't mind Snoop Dogg. But genuinely, fuck Ice Spice, bro. Like, genuinely, fuck this event. Complete garbage, by the way. We just sat here and watched a screen, watched an event that wasn't even for us in the first place. It was for people in New York. Unannounced, just happened randomly. And it's like, you know, what's the harm in that? You know, Epic put a lot of effort into it. But you know, it would be crazy if Epic would actually just put in effort to their own events rather than just have this shit on the side, you know? Why wasn't this in Party Royale? Like, why did we have to overhype this shit on the Chapter 5 map? You could have just put it in Party Royale. And everyone in-game joined in to see a Fortnite live event, not a New York live event that they missed. They didn't show up to. It's so fucking stupid. And this is not a way to end any chapter. I ain't gonna lie. But, and then they just showed us a trailer for Remix, and it's like, man, what happened? What happened to the game I love? How do we go from a cohesive storyline? Like, chapter 5 was doing great before this. Like, I mean, aside Doom dying early and whatever, like, I thought this chapter was pretty solid. But then the end, it's like, why do we want to transition the peak storytelling to Snoop Dogg and Ice Spice and a few others showing up to bring back chapter 2? I mean, not gonna lie, Remix wasn't bad, okay? Remix itself wasn't bad. It was specifically Prelude. And yeah, just complete garbage event. And I'm gonna save chapter 2 Remix for when I go ahead and talk about chapter 2. I'm doing this because in my chapter 4 video I didn't talk about OG, so yeah, I'm just gonna make it fair with the other videos. But yeah, that was, yeah, no, fuck that event. Never do that ever again, Epic, unless it's in Party Royale, because that's where these types of events belong. Anyways, I would have ended the video here, but I feel like there's another topic I want to talk about. You guys can hop off the video if you want. I know this video is getting quite long, but I'm gonna talk about the battle passes from each respective season, because I feel like they're just as important as the season itself. When we're feeling this with Fortnite's latest seasons in Chapter 6, and I have a few words to say about Chapter 6 when I go to make that video. So in essence, battle passes really mean something this season, because without a good battle pass, what's the point of grinding? Continuing on, we're gonna start it off here with Chapter 5 Season 1's battle pass. Solid battle pass, everyone fit into the story perfectly because you had the society and the underground. Peter Griffin was definitely a highlight. Jones was definitely a highlight. Hope grew on me, and so did Valeria over time. Season 2, solid pass. I mean, not my favorite. I'm probably never going to use any of these skins, but it was really creative, and it actually fit with the season, and I love it. Wrecked, I mean, there were some really solid skins in there. We even got Megalodon as a tier 100, and I ain't gonna lie, Chapter 5 had some great tier 100s. Tier 100s are meant to be like the big bad of the season, or meant to be like these highly detailed skins. Like, Chapter 5 definitely delivers on that. Megalodon really was good. Literally the best tier 100 ever. The other battle pass skins, like Bright Raider, was a cool skin. I love that skin. All the characters fit really well. Peabody, I don't know, they're kind of the corporate plan of the season, but every good season needs a meme skin. Season 4, all W skins. Having those iconic characters in Fortnite is really cool. They picked some good characters too, like Gwenpool. There was no Iron Man, sadly. I would have loved to have another Iron Man, but yeah, Captain Jones was a cool skin. All in all these battle passes were really good. And yeah, Chapter 5 has the best battle passes we've had in a while, because coming off Chapter 4, and I'm gonna be honest, Chapter 4 had some really garbage battle passes, just with the most fuck-ass characters of all time, other than maybe a few fan favorites here and there. That's what I think about Chapter 5 as a whole. Was it bad? No. Was it perfect? No, of course not. Especially towards the end. But would I call it the worst chapter ever? No, because it's hella of an improvement from Chapter 4, because Chapter 4 was absolute garbage, I ain't gonna lie. But we had a more cohesive storyline, sorta, up until the end. Which makes me question, was Charles Wen writing this, or was Donald Mustard? Now, Donald Mustard is long gone by this point, but I just want to point out a few things that make me think that he might have wrote the story before he left. And I just want to mention Donald Mustard and Epic Games, back when they had when they were still rolling in peak times, they had planned the storyline out for multiple years. This is why Chapter 1 through 3 were really good. And there's a lot of evidence and things they've said that prove this. But the thing I want to point out the most is Chapter 4's music pack that came with it. It uses an early concept of Chapter 4. And if you notice, it looks nothing like Chapter 4. In fact, it looks a lot like Chapter 5. And if this is the concept art, and we know for a fact Chapter 4 was hella rushed in many ways, we all know this. So I wonder if the Chapter 5 map was actually meant to be on Chapter 4. And since it wasn't done yet because Epic randomly decided, let's do yearly chapters, maybe they just moved the Chapter 4 map to Chapter 5, and Chapter 4 felt disconjointed because a lot of the Chapter 4 seasons were meant to be on Chapter 3. That's how Chapter 4 got rushed. It was a hodgepodge of things that were meant to be on Chapter 5 and things that were meant to be on Chapter 3. This is why Chapter 5 feels a lot more polished and has more of a cohesive storyline, unlike Chapter 4, where it's jumping from Oathbound, Mega City, random characters here and there, Sloan randomly coming back, and then like Kato Thorne. And it's like, makes me question whether or not Donald Mustard wrote the storyline before he left, and Epic were just using it in the meantime till they find the new story writer, which is why a lot of the live events felt kind of short, and which is why Season 4 ended how it did. And there's a lot of buildup in the past. Like, we had the Marvel Zero War comics where Doom showed up for a little bit. We've had a few things here and there. Yeah, that's why I think Donald Mustard might have been involved with the storyline before, he left. He probably, low-key, he wrote the whole thing, and then they just used it, which is why it felt more cohesive, and it felt like how Fortnite should feel, not like how Chapter 6 feels right now. It is a cohesive storyline, but a lot of the charm is stripped away. And when I go to talk about Chapter 6, I'm going to explain a little bit further my thoughts about Chapter 6. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. please subscribe to my channel. I mean, this video took me like multiple weeks to make, by the way. When I started filming this video, there was a drama going on with me. And then it got worse and worse. So I kind of been putting off this video for a long time. So yeah, I'm sorry for the delay. This was meant to come out before I switched back my name back to LoneJonesy. This was meant to come out way before. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Took me a lot of time to make and a lot of courage to finish. But yeah, all in all, chapter 5 was not a bad chapter, nor was it perfect. It was just okay. Thanks for watching.